And when we talk about overloading the method, we talk about changing the signature. Okay, and the signature include what? Include the number of parameter, include the type of the parameter, and the order. So remember, it's all about the parameter, number of the parameter, type of the parameter, and order of the parameter. If you change any of these, number of parameter or the type of parameter, or the order of the parameter, you change the signature of the method. Okay, because the signature of the method is depending on these three: number, type, and order. Name of parameter is not important. Remember, if I change the name of the parameter, it's not really important. Okay, the only important is how many parameter and what's the type of the parameter and what's the order of the parameter. Okay, when you talk about the order, I'm not talking about the variable names. I'm talking about the type order. Okay, so here you can change the number. This one will take no variable d, for example. Another example, d will take integer, okay, x for example, or d will take integer x and integer, for example, y. So I change the number of the parameter. Here we have 0, here we have 1, here we have 2, you can have 3, 4, 5, depends on that. Okay? Now, if you change the type is different. Okay? The type, you say, for example, d integer x. And I'll say, okay, d double x, for example. I change the type. Okay? You can say a string, d string. So the same name, but the type is what? The type is different. If you change the order, for example, you have d integer x double, okay, y. You can change the order and say, for example, d double and integer. So I change the order of the variable. Here take integer double, but here take double and integer. If you change any of these, the number or the type or the order, you change the signature of the methods. Okay, this is an example. So for example, we have a method called average. The first one is take what? Is take double, and it's take only one parameter. Okay, it's take double, and one parameter is double. Remember this. Second one, same name, take how many parameter? This one take one parameter, this one take what? Two parameter. So here I change the number of the parameter. Change the number of the parameter. Here we have one, here we have what? Two parameters. Okay. Third one, I change the signature. How? I have three parameters. So here I change the number of parameters. One, two parameter, and we have three parameter. So the same variable, same method, you can call it and give it one value, or you can give it two values, or you can give it three values. Okay. Also, you can change what? You can change the type. For example, here we have two parameter. We have two parameter. But what's the difference? This one is what? Double, but this one is what? Integer. Also, this one is change. One change is enough. One change is enough. But here change two. All right? From double to integer. From double to integer. Here change the type. Here you can take the average for double numbers if you want, or you can take the average for two integer numbers. This is called overloading. We're talking about in the same class now. You change the order of the parameter. This one take two parameter. This one take two parameter. Same number, right? But we have different order. How come? First we have integer double in this one. So this one is take integer first, and then double. But here is the opposite. Take double first and then integer. Here no. Take double first and integer then. So here we change the signature. If you change the order, or you change the number of parameter, or you change the type, then you change the signature of the methods. Method signature depends on what? On the order of the variable and the type. Okay? Underline text double number 1 and 2 are not part of the method signature. The return type in Java is not part of the what? Of the method overloading or the method signature. And the name of the variable are not important. These three are, if I change them, that's not considered overloading in Java. Remember, now there's some error here, okay? This is an example. So we have double average, integer n1, integer n2, all right? And this is the same thing here. What is the error here? Java will give you an error. Why? Because now, before the compilation, there's no error. But when you try to run the program, the compiler will not allow you to run until you have no error. This is a confusion for the compiler. Okay? If you say average five, 10, integer and integer. This is integer, this is integer. This is integer, this is what? Integer. So, and both methods are called what? Average. Okay? So which method should we call? This is the error. This is the confusion for the compiler. Which method which should we call? All right. Now I created a project for overloading example, and I added a class to the project, and this is the class. So for example, I will have two private. I'm not gonna use private because I don't want to focus on inheritance. I will use integer ID, integer GPA. Let's call the GPA double. Okay. All right. Now I will add a constructor. Okay. Look at the constructor. First of all, I will add an empty constructor. This is the overriding for the constructor. Insert code. All right. This is a constructor. I'm going to not choose anything. So this is an empty constructor. Yeah. This is the first one. It takes no parameter and no doing nothing. So this is called what? Default. Now I'm gonna add overload. I'm gonna overload the constructor many times. Why do I say overload? Why I say overload? Okay, because I'm in the same class. Okay, so I'm gonna add another constructor. Insert code. Okay. And I'm gonna add the same constructor. I'm just gonna copy it so I can show you how does it work. I'm just gonna copy that and paste it here. Same constructor, is that? It'll give me an error because it's the same. I'm just gonna add here integer ID. Okay, this is constructor overloading. Overloading. And I will add to it this dot ID equal ID. This one with one parameter. Okay, this is overloading with one parameter. Okay, here also I'm gonna copy that one, this one as well. So I'm gonna copy it. Okay, copy. I'm gonna use the same thing. All right, but I will add to it what? I will add to it the GPA. So I'm gonna say double GPA. Okay, so this equal ID and this dot GPA equal GPA. Okay, you can see that, right? Now I'm going to copy this one. This one is one parameter. Oh, without mentioning it, you can see that. Now also I'm going to have to, now what I did, I changed the number of parameters here. This is over one type of overloading. I changed the number of parameter. Here I have 0, 1, and then I have 2 here. Now what I will do another thing. Control C. I'm gonna copy the same thing, okay, and put it here. But I'll change the order. So I'll take double first, GPA, and then after that I'll take integer ID. This is the change. Different the order. I took the GPA double first and then integer after that. This is how I overload what? I overload the student. So if I have add a method, for example, a public void, public double, calculate, public double, calculate GPA, and I will give it integer A, double A, double B, double C, 3 marks, for example. Okay, and I'm gonna say return what? A plus B plus C over 3. This is the GPA. That's it. So if I go to the main, save. If I go to the main, I can create an object from the student. By what I should do to create an object from the student, I will say student, call it S, equal new, I can just say student. And that's it. That will work. It's an empty student. When you do this, you call what? You call the empty constructor. Okay? This is I'm going to put them, both of them in the same order. So let's do that. Okay, you can see that when I did this, this is the main program. When I did this, I called what? I called the default constructor here. This is the default constructor. All right, but I can do this using what? I can also do student S1 equal new student and give him what? Give him only ID 12. When I did this one, which constructor I called? I called the one with the integer in one parameter. Okay? If I say S2 and give him student S2 equal new student and give him 12, 13 and what? And give him GPA what? 3.4. Which one I called? When I did this one, I called this one here. I say student S3, for example, equal new student. And I did, okay, this is 3.5, comma 15, 125. Which one I call? I gave first the double and then the integer. So which one received the double? This one. Receive the double first and then the integer. Okay, this is how we overload the constructor in the same class. You can have a different number of parameter. You can have different type. You can have different different number of parameter, type, or order. Three things when you play with the overloading. Say system.out.print, okay, len GPA equal, and I say plus calculate S1 or S dot calculate GPA. I have to give him three double number 3.0 comma 3.4 comma 2.75, for example. Okay, so I have to give him three values, and I have to close the int one of this. All right, so if I run it, that will call only for the first student. That will call for the first student. Print the GPA for the first student only. Now, about the method. Okay, about the method. I have a method called calculate GPA. I can overload the method. I can copy the same method. I have two methods, the same name. That's an error. But what I will do, instead of having double, I will say integer. So this is overloading. First, I allow him to enter double. Then after that, I allow him to enter what? Integer. So when I call this for example, the second student, I can have it with integer number only. So I can say, okay, call it, and no need to give him double. Okay, no need to give him double. Just give him integer values like this. That should be fine. And this is for S1, for example. Okay, that should work because I have overload, same method. See, same name. I didn't change this one. I did not change the name. I only changed the data type. I only changed the data type. So if you run it, now I can also say, okay, I want the GPA if he have only 2 courses, not 3 courses. Maybe he have 3 courses, maybe he have only 2 courses. Okay, what about the GPA for 2 courses only? So I can overload this method. I can use only what? 2 variable. 2 variable. I can remove C from here. Only 2 variables, 2 courses. Student has only 2 courses, for example. Okay, so if I calculate the GPA here, if I calculate the GPA for this guy here, okay, and let's say that for S3 or S2, let's say, calculate GPA and give him only 2 courses. Okay, that should be fine. Okay, let's add S here because I call this methods. If I run it, that will give me the GPA for 2 courses only. But if I do this, that will give me an error, صح? If I do this, that will give me an error. If I do this, I say 2.0, 3.0, comma 3.2. That will give me an, if I want to make this work, I need to create a new one. In the class, you need to create a new one, right? And this one have what? Double, double. And that should work. Okay? Now that should work because now I have double and double. All right? So double A, double B. It's different from integer A, integer B. Now this one, the error is gone because I created. How many methods I can have now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can overload the method as many as you want.